From the Columbus City Schools studios, welcome to Face Us. It's the show that connects families, community, and schools. Here are your hosts, Seneca Bing and Garima Woldemariam.
Hey, friend.
Hey, friend.
And hey, everyone out there. Welcome to Faces. Today, we are tackling mental health, how we are navigating the ups and the downs of everyday life for our parents, children, grandparents, and extended family.
Creating space
Can be challenging,
but necessary. So this holiday season, lean in, listen, sit down, and have a conversation to understand what's going on inside the minds of your loved ones. It's time to take mental health seriously.
Math is everywhere you look. It's in everything you do. And it can be fun to use. Join us for Math Everywhere with Renee Harris.
Hello and welcome to Math Everywhere. I'm Renee Harris, your math magician, helping you to see the magic in math. Tonight, we're at the Kroger doing some holiday shopping with Parkmore Elementary School. I think I spied some parents and a student from Parkmore over here shopping. Let's take a look and see what they're doing. Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Is that Mason? Hey, Mason. Hey, Miss Yvonne. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
So, what's going on with Parkmore? What are you all doing here at Kroger tonight?
Well, tonight is the math night. So what we do is they bring all the parents and the kids together so we can learn about math in a fun way, how everything around us is math related.
Yes.
So
okay.
today we're doing a scavenger hunt.
All
and
right.
we're going around the store and we're actually just picking up items and looking at the prices that we normally get on our grocery shopping list.
All right. So I see here you've got apples on your list. So what are we doing, Mason? How are you selecting apples?
We're picking the right apples and we're putting it in the bag.
Okay, so it seems like to me you picked an apple that was $1.99 a pound. Does that mean that one apple is $1.99?
Yes. Wait.
It could if it weighs what?
It could.
If it weighs
1 pound.
If it weighs 1 pound. All right, good. What else you got on your list? We're gonna follow you right on through the grocery store.
All right, let's see. So next we have up on the list is the bread.
Thinking about your budget of $5, I see a whole lot of different amounts for bread. What are you thinking would be your best bread to pick up, the more for the buck? This one is $1.99, which is about $2. Yeah, look at that. Estimation. So if we get one of these, you still have how much money left to spend on bread? $3. So pick up something that's about $3.
And that's that.
Is that your Sara Lee loaf?
That's right.
There we go. 2 different loaves of bread, one wheat, one white, $5. Let's throw that in the basket. I need to get a lay of land for the cereal. So what's next on our list, Mason?
I think it's cereal.
Cereal. What kind of cereal do you like?
I like Lucky Charms.
Well, let's see if we can find some Lucky Charms. It's on sale for $2.79, but if you purchase 5 or more of these, that's $1.79. Look at this giant box of Lucky Charms. Is this exciting? This is exciting. Now, how much is this giant box of Lucky Charms?
$7.40.
$7.49. And how many ounces is this Lucky Charms?
26.1.
26.1 ounces, which is about a pound. Which one of these boxes do you think is the better deal?
This.
Oh, wow. And you know what? You are right. That is the better deal. So let's get that giant box of Lucky Charms. Good shopping.
How about
Good shopping.
Good job.
So we're going to the candy aisle. Candy bars. All right, Mason, look at all of these candy bars. So when we're thinking about 2 for $4, which would give us 8 plus 8 is what?
16.
So that would give us 16 candy bars for $4, or we can get 6 full-size candy bars for about $7, which would be a little over $1 a bar. So which one do you think would be the best deal?
This good.
Oh, you think the special dark. Actually, you're right. You get more for the bang. Let's put that back. And we're gonna go with this 6-pack of Hershey bars for $6.99. Let's throw that in the basket. Good shopping, Mason, good shopping. Well, it's been a fun time here at Kroger with the Parkmere students. A big shout out and a big thanks to Dr. Charmaine Campbell, the principal at Parkmore. Thank you to Kroger for allowing us to come in and enjoy some holiday shopping tonight. So, remember, math is everywhere. In everything you do. Holiday shopping for sure, so stick to those budgets and make sure you remember math is everywhere. Have a good night.
Hello and welcome. Today I have the honor and privilege of speaking to 4 fifth graders here at Ohio Avenue Elementary School. They have been doing some great work around social emotional regulation practices, and they get to tell us about how that works and how that is helping their school to become better regulated. But first, before we start, I want you guys to take a moment to introduce yourselves, okay? So let's start over here. Go ahead.
My name is Xavion Porter.
Thank you, Xavier.
My name is Maya Anderson.
Welcome.
My name is Ariana Jordan.
Good to have you.
My name is Amari McClendon.
All right, thank you. So you guys have spent a lot of time and work, and you guys are leaders in this building. So I want to just ask you some questions so that the rest of Columbus City Schools can hear about all the great regulation techniques happening here in the building. So when you hear the word mental health, what does that mean to you?
For me, I feel in the middle about it. Mental health can mean 2 different things. It could be bad and it also can be good as well.
When I hear the word mental health, it makes me feel okay. I don't really feel good or bad about it.
So if we're talking about our feelings, is that hard to do for you?
Probably sometimes when I'm mad. When I'm mad, I don't want to talk, but when I'm happy, I'm okay.
There are 2 words that we use a lot in elementary schools, the words sad and happy. Just like you referenced, what does that mean to you?
Sad means either gloomy, not in the mood, sickness or tiredness can count as well. While happy, it could mean joyful, bright, and on the better side than sad.
Well, when I hear the word, when I feel sad, I want to be left alone most of the time. And when I feel happy, I'm ready to learn and I feel like I want to connect with other people.
When you do feel sad or upset, are there people that you're able to talk with or to talk to make you feel better? Talk to me about that.
I have my cheer coach. Her name's Miss Featherspoon. She's also, she talks to you about stuff that you can't normally talk to your friends about, and my mom and dad.
And how does she help to make you feel better?
She'll comfort you and say it's okay.
Yeah, my mom talked to me to help me calm down.
And are there things that you do physically to calm down?
Yeah, like play games with her.
Okay. What's your favorite game to play with her?
Connect 4.
Mine's, I have 2 at home and at school. Mine's is Miss Weatherspoon. She's a cheer coach, but also she's a psychiatrist. And also Miss Mason, she's our school PE teacher.
Okay.
Then my mom and aunt.
And what kinds of things do you guys do together to help you to feel more regulated?
Kind of puzzles. So like find what's the item, like let's say like a comb or something.
And last one, you and I were talking a little bit about what you like to do on your spare time. What kinds of things help you to calm down?
Well, I really love to draw in my spare time, and I like to watch TV or play a game.
So we're in your school here at Ohio Avenue, and we talk a lot about a trusted adult. So when you have these big feelings, who are those trusted adults that you can go to here at school, and how do they help you?
So, like I said the first time, my trusted adults at school are Miss Mason and Miss Weatherspoon, and what they do is they actually do want to talk to me, and they give me ways that I can resolve the issue.
We talked a little bit about how in 5th grade you guys go to different classes, your ELA, your science, your social studies, so you have routines. How do the routines help your feelings?
We have like this circle before we go to switch classes, and
get a check-in question. We do our zones of regulation. Red means you're mad. Yellow means frustrated or silly or annoyed. And then blue means you're either sick or tired. And green means you're okay and happy. And we either say one of those, and then we get to do our get to know you question.
Okay. So those are things that you identify about your feelings, right? And it gives you a moment. That's great. Talk to me a little bit about yours, Xavion. How does having a routine at school help you?
And when you do the zone of regulations, they say the colors and then you know how they're feeling. So you can know how to help them.
Well, having a routine helped me. It helps me remember some things I'm supposed to do most of the time. And it also helps me have a start to my day, because sometimes you just wake up in the morning and not know what you're doing.
Yes. And I like you. I like some consistency and routine. Excellent. So we're talking about restorative circles, and I heard that you guys are quite the leaders in that. So tell me about how you help to lead those connection circles.
So how we help to lead is first we have the talking piece. Then we tell which direction we're going. That way people know when they're going next. Then after that, we do the question or we do the color zone. Like, what color zone are you feeling? Like green, yellow, red, blue, which my friend of mine over here told what those meant. And then after that, we pass it.
Okay. And do you do this with your peers in 5th grade?
Yes, or we do it with other people that's in SLRP.
Part of your reasoning for doing restorative circles is, like you said, to be in tune with your zones of regulation. And so how does the school teach you? What are other ways that the school teaches you to be in tune with your feelings?
So in our classroom, mostly of the time it's in the back or it's in the front sometimes. The majority of the time it's in the back. It's this folder that we have that can tell us what we can do with our emotions. Or we could either write a letter to Miss Storms, but it doesn't really get to that point yet.
Okay.
If you're mad, you probably could journal. There's like the rocking chair. There's plenty of options that you can choose when you're in a different feeling or mood.
So it sounds like you pick what helps you. Is that a pretty correct description? Excellent. So what are the ways then, besides that the school helps you to manage your feelings? You shared a lot of examples. Please, go ahead.
And where the photos are, we also have this calm down corner to help you calm down. And we have pictures of different breathing techniques. You can do those, or you can color.
So tell me more about the corner, the calm down corner. So what happens? How do you get to choose to go there?
So if you're not feeling it, you can go to your teacher and ask, hey, can I go back to the calm down corner? And she'll either say yes, or if it's a learning time, she'll probably say in a little.
Okay. And so you identify your feeling and you say, I need to really take a moment and calm down and get to go there. That's really great. And that's something probably a lot of our adults need, is some calming techniques and corners. So we talked a lot about in school. Then let's talk about when you're out of school. So what are some ways that your families or caregivers help you to manage your emotions a little bit better?
They love to play games with me and love to play around with me. My cousins play. They watch movies with me and they play the games with me. And then my mom and dad, they take me out to eat and take me to the trampoline park.
Oh, you like the trampoline park. And I can tell that helps you because you were smiling as you said all that, definitely. What about you? What are some ways that your adults around and out and about help you?
They would want to hear both sides of the story and tell you ways to calm down or fix it.
Okay. What's one way that works for you? Let's say at home, when you're at home.
Tell the person that made you feel that way, how you felt.
Using your words. What about you? How do the people outside of these four walls help you?
They have me go in a more quieter space, probably can tell me to breathe first. Majority of my places are outside, a guest room maybe.
Is there a way, can you show me how you breathe? Like if I'm feeling anxious right now, show me what you do.
So like I just kind of like, it goes like,
So it looks like you breathe in for 4 and breathe out for 4. Can we all try that? Do you guys mind if we try it? All right, let's do it. Ready? That's good. That's good. And you get that modeled for you a lot, I'm sure. And the good thing, you don't have to wait for an adult to do that, right? I love that. I love that. So one of the last things that I want you to talk to me about is, why is it so important for all of us? We spend a lot of time talking about the emotions and how we regulate. What are the reasons that we need to learn to regulate our emotions at your age?
Well, reasons why we need to learn how to regulate our emotions, especially at this age, is that we're not always mad, we don't always snap at people, we have a good mind, especially when we get older, we're not always like mad at people and stuff and always think, oh, this happened, oh, it's their fault, oh, this happened. And they have a bad mindset and we're always thinking of the lower of things.
So some accountability, it sounds like, right? What about you? Why is it important for us to learn to regulate?
it's just very beneficial at this age and older because it keeps you out of trouble and it's good to stay stress-free to start the day and know what you're doing.
I like stress-free. Thank you.
If you're not okay, then you may get into a lot of drama and then a lot of people are going to turn on you and you're not going to have a lot of friends. So you can't talk about your feelings to those people.
So this is really a tool, it sounds like, for you. All right, you get the last word, my friend.
And some people, like, they gonna act like your friend, but they really might not like you. And they just gonna, like, turn on you. And they just gonna, like, not want to talk to you and stuff.
So does this help you then to determine who are your real friends and who aren't?
Yes.
It sounds like it. Sounds like it. Well, I appreciate the time that you took to speak to our audience about social emotional practices and helping to regulate. This is something, as you know, the folks watching this, they're going to see this. A lot of them are adults. So you all in 5th grade are really helping to build their capacity. So I thank you. All right, I'm going to send you a faraway fist bump. So thank you once again. We hope you learned a lot about social emotional learning and practices on how to de-escalate and regulate your bodies. The wisdom of 5th graders is something that's very contagious, and we really hope that you take those tips, tools, and strategies and share those with your families. Thank you.
Welcome. I have today joining me Jewel Woods, who is the founder and clinical director of the Male Behavioral Health and the Center for Men and Boys. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
So you are here and we're just going to talk about one topic that is so near and dear to my heart and very, very important. We're talking about mental health for our children. We're talking about how families can help kind of support and break the stigma because there's sometimes stigma around mental health. And so we'll start with the easy question.
Okay. Good.
The easiest question is, what is the definition, or maybe not so easy, of mental health?
No, it's a great question. I think it's a question that honestly we don't ask enough. So with your permission, I'll start off by defining what mental illness is, because that might be helpful. So when we think about mental illness, we think of a psychological or emotional state of being typically defined by distress, impairment, and typically lasting for a certain period of time. Now, mental health is not necessarily the opposite of that, but mental health is, when we're typically talking about mental health, we're talking about the condition of one's psychological and emotional life where there's some stability. I like to make the distinctions between stress, struggle, and suffering. A lot of us, part of the normal day life is just stress. Struggling is when people, have problems, they're trying to meet bills, they're dealing with, expectations. But suffering is when that thing goes to a little bit different level. And so mental health is really the sort of practices related to this state of being where one is psychologically and emotionally stable.
That's good. So the 3 S's, you said stress, struggle, and suffering. And most people really just go from stress to suffering in this culture, right? They almost skip the struggling part. Yes.
And so what we do in mental health, and particularly in outpatient mental health, is really just trying to work with people to give them some sort of insight into some of those differences, and also the skills to be able to kind of manage those things when they happen.
Wow, that's good. Thank you for that. And so, is there a particular time frame when you're thinking about going through, like navigating? You said usually it goes from one to the extreme, but when should someone start to really think about this may be beyond, right?
That's another great question, and I think it's important in this culture because part of the problem and the stigma, you mentioned that word around mental health, is that we only think about mental health in terms of crisis. So if I ask the average person when would they go get their oil changed, they might say every 3 months. I ask them when would they go, to see their dentist, they might say maybe every 3 months. But if you ask them when would they go see a therapist, they'd say when it's a crisis. And so part of this answer as to when would we, think about problems has to do with the fact that we just don't normally think about mental health and mental care as a part of our regular practice. We only think about it when it's a crisis. And you'd never go to, or hopefully you wouldn't go to your dentist only when you had an abscess, right? You wouldn't go to the car dealership or the car repair shop only when your engine was on fire. So we know what prevention means when it comes to other areas of life, but we really don't have that when it comes to mental health. And so people should go. In fact, in my world, I would love to see a sort of benchmark in standards, the same way in which we think about children, like the sort of regular cares and regular visits. I would love to see this culture be organized around a time where, like, if you've suffered from a loss, right, you might want to talk to somebody. If you've had a difficult breakup or divorce or something like that, it might be in your best interest to talk to somebody. Something that just simply says that talking to somebody to get some insight into some skills to deal with your issues is not something to do only when there's a crisis. So it's a long way of answering your question, but I think that the answer is that we should be doing mental health as a routine part of trying to figure out how we're doing when it comes to our own sort of internal life, when it comes to our relationships with our family and friends, and these other areas, and not just when there's a crisis.
Absolutely, and I love that because we talk about being preventative and really thinking about it's kind of a continuum.
Yes.
Right? You don't want to,
so.
like you said, you don't want to get there when your tooth is going to fall out. You want to make sure you
exactly
are protecting it along the way. And so you mentioned children.
Yes.
And I know that sometimes that's even a hard thing for families to think about.
Very much
when
so.
is it that I should have someone speak with my child?
Yes.
Are these normal things that's happening in school, or is it beyond something normal?
Yes.
And so what is some advice that you would give families as they are thinking about, should I have my child speak to someone?
These are really foundational questions. One of the things that I'm sort of saying to adults today, and almost even parents, is I ask them kind of rhetorically, what grades did you get when you got your master's degree in parenting or your PhD?
Correct.
Right? Most of us, for example, just take for granted what it means to be a parent, but we don't talk about parenting. Right? And the reality is none of us have taken any classes. We don't have any advanced degrees. And so we just end up loving our children and doing the best that we can. And it becomes more difficult, especially when we see our kids suffering. So the answer to your question is, one, to really just remind adults that, hey, we don't, despite the fact that, we love our kids, we pray for them, we don't really have a lot of advanced knowledge about this thing. And to really just reflect on that fact. The second thing is, and when it actually comes to the question of working with your kids that might be experiencing some things, is to not take it personally. One of the things that we know, particularly from a research perspective, is, and this is really important when it comes to African American families, is that Black youth or Black children, for example, are the least likely to report seeing a mental health professional for 3 reasons. One, because they feel like they don't have a trusted adult. Secondly, because they feel like the school mental health professionals don't necessarily represent their demographic backgrounds. In other words, we just don't have enough clinicians of color. But the third reason is because they feel like their parents don't take their mental health seriously. And so part of what parents have to do as a sort of, just a responsibility to their children is to not just think that their kids are overreacting. And I think that you used the language of perhaps what's a typical part of, adolescent development.
Yes.
And the reality is there is no such thing as a typical aspect to adolescent development. I think parents have an opportunity to really check in, and I'll say a little bit more about men and specifically, about this whole idea about signs and symptoms. Unfortunately, we're living in a TikTok generation where people can be TikToking one day and then they can go, attempt suicide the next. So focusing on outward signs is not as helpful as it used to be. So back in the day when it came to suicide prevention, you could almost look at the signs where a person would be, disheveled and look all beat up, and you'd know 30 days in advance that, hey, they might be suicidal. That's not the case anymore. The real question is whether or not we're having conversations with our young people, if we're really sort of tapping into the sort of interiority of their lives. And unfortunately, sometimes it means being very honest and like asking the question, hey, are you thinking about hurting yourself? Of course, we have to pay attention to, outward signs. So if your kids are, if there's been a drastic change in terms of their mood or appearance, if you see them wearing, long sleeves arms, to cover up cutting or things like that, those sort of objective measures are really important. But the real effort these days is to actually be invested into the internal and psychological lives of their children. And for men in particular, and fathers, oftentimes that's difficult because a lot of guys feel like the only thing that they can offer their children is discipline, right? And that discipline oftentimes creates distance, right? And many males and fathers, for example, feel like they're good providers, but when it comes to these, they have questions when I see them, like, why am I not connected with my children? It's because they've spent a life of providing for the external needs of their children, but not the internal needs. And so to answer this question in terms of like, how do we sort of judge as parents how our kids are doing? Part of it is that just simply, want to ask ourselves the question of like, what do we think our children sees when they look in the mirror? Would be like a first question. And that question, I think, forces us to pay more attention to the internal lives of our children and not just what we're doing, to provide. And that's, again, that's difficult because why most parents are doing our darndest to pay bills, to show up on time, to get folks. So this idea of, okay, well, you just need to get over it. I'm not, dealing with your little drama problems, can miss some very, very important things. And so it really for parents is to pay attention to the interior lives of their children and not take it for granted.
Absolutely. And you talked about a couple things that I wanted to touch on, and hopefully we can remember. But one of them was that look in the mirror and having the children look in the mirror. It's really hard for a parent if they struggle to look in the mirror to see that their child also needs to look in the mirror, right? And so you brought up a great point of really starting with us, right, as the parent, and really identifying who we are in that mirror so that we can support our children. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
It's almost, it's not impossible, but it's certainly difficult to talk about regulating your child if you're not regulated, right? But that's also part of, I think, the grace that we can offer parents, because part of self-grace is what? If I knew then what I knew now, right, I do differently.